So when somebody comes up to you, friend, relative, on the street, email you, and they say, how the hell did this happen with Trump? What do you tell them?
The nasty secret of American democracy is we don't count all the vote and we don't let all people vote. So, had in the past 2 years, according to the federal government, in the last 2 years, 17 million people have been stripped of their right to vote. Some of it is quite legitimate. If someone's dead, they should not be voting. If someone has left Georgia or Michigan, they should not be voting in Georgia or Michigan. But about half, somewhere in the area, about 9 million people on that who were flushed from the voter rolls, were flushed for faulty ground. And it is not just anyone. It is overwhelmingly young people and voters of color. Young people are the new target, by the way. So you have this massive purge of voters, and almost no one is talking about that. Maybe the Brennan Center and a few others. So what I've been doing is filing suits to get the lists and names and addresses and the reasons for everyone who's been purged from the voter rolls to actually get in the information on why they've been purged. Important stories I've ever done was for Salon in 18, which is what I'm picking up now. From the lawsuit we filed, that you have this massive number of people blocked from voting, overwhelmingly young people and voters of color. That means Democratic voters. And that's one that unquestionably had a massive effect in swing states like Ohio, Georgia, which should be a swing state. It's a minority-majority state. White people are in the minority in Georgia as of this year. Why isn't that a blue state? The other is, and then we also do not count all votes that are cast. This is something, it's another horrible American truth. Take Michigan. This I did for Democracy Now! In Michigan, officially, 75,355 ballots were never counted. Did they call them spoiled, unreadable? In Michigan, Trump won by 10,700. Well, the state says we don't know whose votes those were. These are disqualified ballots. Why were they disqualified? 87 machines broke down in Detroit. Scanners. You vote on paper, but it has to be scanned through a machine. The 87 machines could not read the ballots because they broke. Well, whose votes were they in Motown? Was that Trump country? Of the 75,355 ballots that no one counted, they came out of Detroit. So tell me, who won Michigan? This is what's going on here. California, in 2016, 8.6 million people cast votes in the June 2016 primary. Add up the presidential totals, 7.3 million votes. Wait a minute, 1.3 million people did not have their ballots counted for President of the United States in that primary. In particular, it's a group called the NPP voters, the no party preference voters, who have a right to vote in the Democratic Party, but the procedure is really complicated. So a big hunk of those voters, close to half of those voters' votes, and there are millions, were disqualified because they got the wrong ballot and they didn't know the procedure. They didn't fill it out correctly because you have to give a special ballot if you're an NPP voter. You can't get a regular Democratic Party ballot. If they give you a regular party ballot, it gets disqualified. It's so complicated. No one, even at the polling stations, knows what the rules are. So basically you had 1 million voters, mostly NPP voters, lose their vote. Now, who did they vote for? I can tell you. According to the Gov poll, NPP voters voted more than 2-1 for Bernie Sanders. If you counted those 1 million votes and divided them 2-1 Sanders-Clinton, Bernie Sanders won the California primary last time, and they're going to try to take it away from him this time.
Because you've been working this issue for so long and you're really one of the true experts. So in the simplest terms, so how do you rig an election?
Not the way people think you rig an election. A lot of people think that there's a guy in a cave, press a lever or you punch a screen, who's going to change your vote from blue to red. If it happens, I'm not seeing it. That's not how it's usually done by blocking people from casting ballots or not counting the ballots they cast. For example, and these are hard numbers, from the federal government, and as they note, 3 million provisional ballots were cast in the United States. Most white people, unless they live in California, have never heard of a provisional ballot, but it's handed out like candy in Black and Hispanic precincts. These provisional ballots are just what they sound like, provisional. Your name's not on the voter rolls. So rather than have you scream and holler and pound the desk and say, why isn't my name missing? I've voted here for 50 years. Said, don't worry, here's a provisional ballot. Fill this out and we'll count that later. No, you won't. For 1 million provisional ballots were never counted in each of the last presidential elections. Over 1 million provisional ballots not counted. Absentee ballots. We have about 40 million people who mail in their ballots in America. And this year, it'll probably be about 60 million. About 2 million of those ballots, at least 1 million, and probably 2 million of those ballots will never be counted. And then machines break down. I'm not talking about some guy making fancy or software, but machines break down. Where they break down? Where everything breaks down. Okay, in the barrio, in the ghetto, crap schools, you get crap hospitals, you get crap voting machines. I'm not saying they're fixed to change your vote. I'm saying they break down and the votes are lost, as happened in Detroit. And in fact, according to the U.S. Civil Rights Commission, I pushed them to do their own investigation of the statistics. They said the chance your vote spoils, spoiling, by the way, is the official term, the chance your vote will spoil is 900% higher if you're black than if you're white. So votes don't get counted. People are not allowed to vote. And it's not random at all, not random in the least. It is a violently racial system, still is, and no one likes me talking about that.